What's up, heroes? My name is Sylarclone, and welcome back to Crystalline. Let's see what we're going to be doing here in Allendale since we just arrived. Got a chance to tour a illusion exhibit, so let's visit the other exhibit that's going on here, the Heroes of Asaria. View the exhibit on the Heroes of Asaria. Okay, never mind. I guess that's not ready just yet. Let's see what Kara's up to. Kara said she's going to take care of some business in the library. I wonder what she's up to. I head into the library and find her among the shelves. Hey, Kara. She smiles.
Hey there.
Checking out the selection?
You could say that. I'm wondering if I have something that might interest them.
She pulls out the faded tome she found in the Earth Temple.
If this library is as extensive as Amy says, maybe they're looking to expand their collection.
You know, that's not a bad idea. I'm sure they would appreciate something like this. Couldn't hurt to ask. I browse the books along the shelves. It looks like they've got other old books here, too. She pulls out a book and inspects its cover, then grins as she puts it back.
They've got Aria's texts.
Who are they?
The ancient civilization here. They're the people who would have built the Wind Temple. If they've got Aria's tomes, then they're sure to be interested in what I've got.
Kara confidently approaches the librarian.
Perhaps you could assist me.
The librarian glances down his nose at Kara and sniffs disdainfully.
Perhaps.
Ignoring his haughtiness, Kara pulls out the book and places it in front of him.
Would you be interested in a Gaian text?
He leans closer to inspect it.
Where did you acquire this?
From one of the ruins. Unlike most of texts found, this one is very atypical. It's actually a children's book.
Surprise slips through his demeanor.
A children's book?
Kara carefully flips through the pages to show off the illustrations.
Yes, and you can tell it's Gaian based on the calligraphy.
She points to two different places on the page.
The Gaian's language didn't use punctuation, while the other ancient civilizations, such as the Arai, did.
Wow, she really knows her stuff, doesn't she?
And the parchment itself is out of an animal hide, which is typical of Gaian culture.
Kara continues to spout more and more facts. The more she talks, the more impressed the librarian seems. By the end of her speech, his frown is replaced with an interested grin. He further inspects the book and then nods in satisfaction.
Fascinating. And you're hoping to donate it to our library?
Well, donate for a small fee.
Ah, of course.
There's the catch. He lists a number which Kara pleasantly counters. They go back and forth for a while before the librarian finally nods. The two of them disappear for a few minutes before Kara returns with a small pouch. She grins as she safely tucks away her pouch. How'd it go?
Not bad. I was hoping I could get a little more, but I still ended up with more than the initial offer. That's a win in my book.
I can't help but be a little impressed. It must have shown on my face as Kara looks at me questioningly.
What is it?
I'm impressed you know so much history. I thought you'd use your body to convince him. That was some good haggling. I'm just more impressed she knows a lot of history. She typically doesn't use her body all too much from what I've seen. Or from what we've seen, I should say. Only with Zach, every so often. Nothing, really. You just really know your stuff. I heard you explain to the librarian how to tell the book was Gaian.
All in a day's work. It's important to do your research in my line of business. Don't want to be ripped off. Why don't we go check out the shops?
Sure. It'll be nice to see more of the city. Kara and I leave the building and wander the cobbled streets until we come upon the marketplace. We browse a few of the storefronts. Kara mostly ignores the clothing shops and seems more interested in stores selling trinkets or antiques. While Kara peers through the window of shop, I overhear a father and son talking in front of a sweet shop. The boy claps happily as his father hands him candy. His dad grins equally as wide.
I'm proud of you, son. Remember to keep up your studies. Maybe one day you can grow up to be a mage.
That's a proud father-son moment right there.
Thanks, Dad.
I recall my father's face and how he looked when I brought home my first A. He looked just as proud and happy as that man with his son. He took me out to ice cream as a reward and told me to keep my grades up. What is he doing now? Does he even know that I'm missing? A hand waves in front of my face.
Hello? Are you still there?
What? Yes, hi. Carol looks concerned. Huh? Sorry, what's going on?
You okay there?
Tell Kara I'm a little homesick, pretend it's nothing. You know what, we could tell her the truth. She's been with us a little while. Sorry, I saw that father and son over there, and it just reminded me of home. My dad used to buy me ice cream as a reward for doing well in school when I was young. Kara's expression softens.
You never really talk about home. Sometimes it's hard to remember that everything is so up in the air for you. One minute you were living life as usual, and then in an instant all of that was ripped away and your life turned completely upside down.
Your tone of voice says more that you've experienced something like this too. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Kara's voice increases as she talks. She seems to know exactly how I feel. We shouldn't talk about it anymore. It sounds like she speaks from experience. I'm dealing with it. The middle one right here, she sounds like she's speaking from experience. It sounds like you've dealt with something similar. Kara looks surprised, then laughs bitterly.
Nothing quite as extreme as being transported to another world.
I mean... But something did happen. She goes quiet. Sorry, I didn't mean to pry. It's just unexpected since you're always so confident. I got the impression you like traveling alone, and it's hard to imagine you'd be unable to handle yourself. Kara smiles softly.
I wasn't always like that. When I was young, I lived with my father in a big town. I went to school and gossiped with my friends and played with dolls just like every other little girl.
I can't imagine you playing with dolls. She laughs.
I love them. It's a bit embarrassing how many I had. My friends always liked to come to my house because I had all the popular dolls back in the day.
You realize I can't keep this information to myself, right?
Little girls like dolls. I'm not ashamed.
She's starting to sound a little more like herself again.
Anyway, sometimes things happen out of your control, and all you can do is roll with the punches. I'm sorry that you've been feeling alone, and that it's taken me so long to notice.
I mean, I've been putting on a pretty good facade, I think. Thanks for listening. I'll manage. I'm not lonely thanks to everyone. Yes, this is true. I don't feel so alone after talking to you. Kara grins mischievously.
You should save lines like that for Leanna.
This is also true. That's not what I meant. We aren't exclusive. Is that how Leanna feels? I kind of want to pry a little bit here. Is that how Leanna feels? I'm not sure Leanna feels the same way. Kara chuckles and sighs.
If only you knew what she says about you behind closed doors.
I hope good things. What does she say? Kara just smiles and sighs again. Tell me! She winks.
You should ask her yourself.
But I don't want to. That's awkward. She glances down the road.
Let's keep going.
I nod. Well, at least the waifu notices me. We walk around for a little while longer to explore the city. We eventually return to the library and exhibition hall and part ways. I'm ready to call it a day. The sun is beginning to dip in the sky. I'd better go check on Amy and see if she's made any progress. After entering the library, I spot Amelia at a secluded table surrounded by a mountain of books. She doesn't hear me approach. Hey, Amy.
Hello.
She doesn't look up from her textbook. Did you make any progress? She finally looks up at me.
Yes, I did.
Great, fantastic. She gestures to the books around her.
All of these texts include the data on the 100 floating isles. I have spent the afternoon gathering and analyzing all of that information.
Wait, did you say floating isles? Amy blinks.
Yes,
As in, they're hovering in the air?
yes,
You don't seem surprised by this.
of course not. The islands float due to the magical dispersion in the area. This is a natural phenomena which has been around since the time of the ancients.
Do people live on these islands?
No, most islands are far too small for colonization, and those which are large enough to hold a small population are not suited for civilization. But because they have been mostly untouched, the isles are still one of the most beautiful natural wonders of Assyria.
Okay, but if no one lives on the isles, then why are you studying them?
It is highly likely that the Wind Temple was built upon one of those isles. Based on my hypothesis, The temple would be built on the side of the highest concentration of energy.
That makes a lot of sense. If they're being held up by magic energy, the temple would be there. Oh. Amy nods and begins to explain her scribed notes. The rest of the group slowly trickles in. Zack and Leanna arrive first, and a short while later, Kara follows.
If my calculations are correct, the temple should be located in this region.
She opens one of the books to a map and points to a cluster of islands. That's great, but we still have a problem. The islands are floating. How are we supposed to get up there?
Wind magic would solve that predicament.
Everyone focuses on Leanna.
That's true. While I can use wind magic to jump from isle to isle, it's impossible for me to manipulate enough energy to be able to float everyone. I could float myself and perhaps assist one other person.
Obviously, that second person would be him.
Uh-huh. Zack gestures to me. Makes sense. I'm the only person who can absorb the energy.
What about the rest of us?
Don't worry, Kara. I'll bring you back some souvenirs from the temple. Kara laughs.
I appreciate that, but we should still be close by. The least we can do is keep watch.
We can set up at the edge of the first isle and wait for their return.
Kara nods.
That sounds good to me.
There is still some distance for us to travel to reach the Isles. We can cross that distance as a group and split up from there.
Yes, but tomorrow. It's already growing dark, so we should rest tonight.
It's been a busy
Let's
day.
go
We do
find
need
an
some
inn,
rest. Wait, we haven't found it in. That's you. Well, granted, we have been busy. We just ran straight to the library. That's normally one of the first things we do. It's weird that we haven't. Once in agreement, we help Amy clean up and then return to the streets. Now that the sun is set, the cold seeps through my clothes and chills my skin. A shiver crawls down my spine. Leanna blows on her hands.
The change in temperature is really apparent without the sun.
Amy glances at Leanna.
If you are cold, perhaps we should inquire whether the Flushed Mermaid has any rooms. Their rooms are more luxurious than the inns we may be used to, but there is a fireplace in each room. I do believe they provide heat stones we may request to sleep in our beds, should the blankets be insufficient. Plus, their hot springs are open for guest usage.
I like this plan. That sounds like a great place to go. Kara perks up.
Did you just say hot springs?
Yes, that is a...
You had me at hot springs. Let's go there.
She begins to push Amy in a random direction.
This is the incorrect way. The inn is towards the west.
Oops. To the west.
Hey, I like a hot springs day, and hot springs are great. After all we've been through, it'd be nice to kind of sit back in some hot water and relax. Kara hurries Amy towards the west, and the rest of us follow along. Our group checks into the Flushed Mermaid. The first thing we do is make reservations for the hot springs. Fortunately, their availabilities for the men's and women's hot springs are at the same time. After we complete our reservations, we receive our keys to the rooms and go upstairs to get ready. Amy was right when she said the Flushed Mermaid had nice rooms. These are a lot more elegant and grand than any of the others we've stayed in. Zack and I enter the room, and my eyes are drawn to the pale wooden dressers gilded with clamshells and pearls. 2 couches sit before a flickering ivory fireplace. The mantel is streaked with silver waves with a mermaid carved at the center. Dang! Why don't we always stay in rooms like this?
They're expensive.
So? I fail to see your point here, Zack. We find robes and towels in the closet. Once Zack and I are ready to go, we go downstairs and make our way to the men's side of the hot springs. I step down into the pool, shivering at the first touch of heat. Zack settles across from me, enveloped in a vapor cloud. I sink even lower for the water to cover my chest. This is the exact hot spring as in Ace Academy. I love it. First the library at the very beginning, now the hot springs. Love it. Pongo's here too. The Pongo plops down next to me with a small splash. After a moment, he drifts back up to the surface like a fishing bobber. The Pongo drifts in place, his mouth still covered underwater. A second later, he pops out a happy, bubbly noise. I smile and pat him on his head. This is nice, isn't it? The Pongo beams up at me. He leaps out of the pool and then makes a game of jumping in and out of the water. So... Zack doesn't even open his eyes. His arms are spread along the edge of the pool. How's life?
Fine.
Holy shit, is he scarred up? Silence. Catch any scary bad guys recently? No response. I frown, sinking a little lower into the water. I notice a huge scar that ripples across Zach's chest. You mean the one that's right in the center of his chest? Cool scar. Where'd you get it? Zach finally opens his eyes. He stares me down. Okay. Maybe I struck a nerve. Never mind. Zach turns away. Man, this obviously isn't going anywhere. I might as well just enjoy the hot springs and stop trying to get him to talk. I close my eyes and try to brush off the awkward conversation. Everything is so quiet. Too quiet. I don't even hear the pongo splashing around. I open my eyes and realize he's not there. Hey! Where's the pongo? Zach looks around. The pongo is nowhere in sight. The pongo is constantly running off. Aren't you curious about where he goes?
No.
If he's not hanging around with me, he's usually with Amy for science. Zach arches an eyebrow.
And?
Yeah, I guess we'll stick around here. We should investigate. For science. We should investigate. I'm curious. Where does he go? Dude, he totally went over to the girl's side.
I don't think so.
We should double check to be sure.
Nah.
Whatever, I'll just chill here. It must be done, even without you. Don't you want to see Kara in a towel? I'm going to poke this button. I want to poke this button. Don't you want to see Kara in nothing but a towel? Zach freezes and his eyes get wide. He crosses his arms and turns away. But not before I notice the slight shade of pink in his cheeks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Aha. A slow smirk lights my face. My bad. Thought you might be interested. I mean, it's hard to resist the thought of a girl in a hot spring, right? Bouncing around, flushed skin from the heat, wearing nothing but a towel. Or maybe no towel at all. Zach quickly clears his throat.
Well, we'd be doing it for Pongo. Right?
Right. We're doing it for Pongo. Right? I grin. Of course.
And we're just trying to make sure the Pongo is okay. If we end up running into anything else, that isn't our intention at all.
Exactly. I nod. Zach uncrosses his arms.
Then I suppose we can check this out, but only for a second.
Fine. Yes, sir. We both make our way across the hot spring, and we eventually come across a massive wooden wall. Mist puffs up from behind it. A few crystal lamps are lined overhead, but it's so dark that their golden glow can't quite penetrate it. We hear a loud splash, followed by a bunch of girlish squealing. We can't seem to make out any words. My heart rate starts to pick up. We have to make it over. I make a move for the wall, but Zach grabs my shoulder.
No, this way.
Huh? Why?
There's a darker spot over there. Less risk of being seen if a guard comes this way.
My eyes follow to the shadowy spot he's pointing to. I blink in surprise. I haven't even noticed it before. It's a good thing I have a mercenary on my side for noble causes like this. Zach inspects the wall as if analyzing the best way over.
Boost me up.
Okay, this is going to end poorly. This is going to be great. I cut my palms together and give him a push. He jumps with one smooth motion and manages to grab the wall. I get a feeling this isn't his first time scaling a wall. From the top, he extends a hand down, and I just manage to reach by jumping, and he pulls me up. When I've just about scaled the wall, we hear the footsteps and see the shadow of a guard approaching.
Get in, quick!
We dive over the other side of the wall. My heart starts racing again. Did we actually make it? We both slip into the hot spring and swim over slowly so as not to make any noise or splash. Soon we hear familiar voices.
Leanna, that feels so good.
What? My heart leaps in my throat, and I try to peek for a closer look. Zach pulls me back and points to one of the larger rock formations. His face is bright red as we swim over, but I can't tell if it's from the heat or what we just heard. Leanna giggles.
Do you like that?
Yes, so much.
Oh, hello. We settle behind the rocks and peek over to be greeted with a perfect view. It's almost as if the person who designed this hot spring knew exactly what these rocks would be used for and gave his or her blessing. Thank you, hot spring architect. You're the real hero here. The first thing I see is the Pongo splashing around. That sneaky Pongo. I knew he'd ditch us for the girls.
All right, now it's my turn to wash your back. Turn around.
Okay.
I like the sound of this. My eyes follow the voices and...
Kara!
my heart stumbles to a halt. Oh! My goodness. That's a view. That's a view. Kara stands behind Leanna. Her arms are wrapped around Leanna with her hands resting on Leanna's breasts. That does not look like washing to me.
Oh.
Kara looks surprised before a feline grin slides across her face.
I was definitely not expecting that sort of reaction from a Mage-Knight.
Huh? What?
Leanna glances down. It takes her a second to register what's happening, and her face goes from a sunset pink to a murderous scarlet.
Kara!
Kara laughs. Leanna squirms a little.
How could you do that?
Kara giggles and nuzzles her face between Leanna's neck and shoulder.
Are you really surprised?
No, not at all. Leanna twists away from her, crossing her arms to hide her chest.
You can't just...
She sputters as the words escape her. My eyes have been blessed. We should not be looking at this. My eyes have been blessed. This is a good day.
What?
What? I mean, this is a good day. This is a very good day.
It is most perplexing that Leanna continues to claim disinterest in Kara's actions, even though her body language and audible responses are that of positive simulation.
This is not something we should be looking at. Blur it! Blur it now!
Amelia!
Leanna's face turns an even brighter shade of crimson.
That's not true!
Wait, what? Continues to deny Kara's advances. How many times have we missed out?
Boy?
The Pongo bobs with just his eyes above the surface, staring in our direction. Shit, he's onto us. His voice is bubbly and muffled from underwater. He blinks. Oh no. Can he see us? If we have to ask that question, we need to go now. The Pongo jumps and lands on the rocks we are hiding behind. He bounces up and down with a huge smile. Pongo, no, shh! Shut the hell up, dude!
Get your Pongo under control!
I'm trying, damn it!
What's going on?
The Pongo leaps higher and higher into the air. He reminds me of an excited little dog running up to greet you after a long day at work. Zach, we need to run, now! Leanna reaches for a towel.
Is someone there?
Crap, what do we do? Okay, how's this gonna go? I jerk my head up and gape at Zach. That was the most unconvincing cat sound I've ever heard. A serpent smile slides across Kara's face. She plants a hand on her hip.
Zach, is that you?
Meow?
Not working! Kara laughs out loud.
Oh, this is gold.
Dude, has it ever worked before in your life?
Once.
How stupid were they? What? How is that even possible?
I realized the guy was deaf afterwards.
The Pongo bounces up and down, going crazy with happiness.
I hear more than one voice.
Leanna looks horrified. She hauls herself out of the water and wraps her towel even tighter around herself. Stumbling, she lunges for the pile of fluffy towels folded off to the side and starts cloaking them around herself. The Pongo leaps off his rock and straight into my arms. I hate you so much right now. I let out a deep, deep exhale. The gig is up. I stand and Zach begrudgingly does the same. The Pongo leaps onto my shoulder and snuggles against my cheek. Ah, man. He's so sweet. How could I stay angry? Oh, maybe because I die here tonight. Leanna cocks her head.
It is quite surprising to find you two occupying the same hot springs as us. After all, this is the woman's side, and you are both men.
Thank you. I didn't know that. My face goes hot. Oh, what? It is? We're obviously lost. Kara giggles.
What a terrible excuse.
Leanna has somehow successfully swallowed herself in at least 10 towels. She reminds me of a fluffy marshmallow.
You guys!
One of the towels falls over her face. She huffs and shoves it back.
You guys can't just come over here.
Kara winks.
Yeah, if you wanted to hang out, you should have just said so.
Huh?
Kara grabs our arms and yanks us out of the bushes. Really? Leanna looks mortified.
What?
She grabs even more towels, and I'm not sure which part of herself she's trying to cover at this point. Kara leads us into the water and smiles.
We don't mind. Right, Amy?
Amelia barely registers Kara's comment.
The activities of the rest of the team do not concern me, lest it disturbs my research.
Research? Amy nods. She lifts her hand and makes some of the water rise, shaping it into little dolphins. That's kind of cool. The Pongo blinks curiously. He jumps down from my shoulder and onto a small rock to investigate. She smiles and waves her hand. The tiny dolphins dive in and out of the water. The Pongo's eyes sparkle with wonder. She looks pleased with herself, but I have no idea what the heck she's trying to research. Kara slides in and bumps Zach with her hip, making him jump.
So, did you like what you saw earlier?
He turns away and crosses his arms, but his cheeks turn a slight pink.
I saw nothing.
Kara's smile turns wicked.
Oh, really? What a shame. Well, now that you're here, you might as well make yourself useful. I need my back washed, please.
Are we really going to watch this?
But Leanna already did.
I thought you didn't see anything.
Dude, you had the chance. Why? Zach shuts up and his face becomes red. Kara grins and hands him a loofah. She swims over to the side so she can prop herself up and relax as she sets Zach to work. I swim to one of the edges with the Pongo and Amy having fun and Zach and Kara doing their own business. There's only one person left. Hey, where'd Leanna go? Huh? I turn around, but there's nothing there except for a giant pile of towels as tall as a human. This girl. Leanna, is that you under there?
No.
The towels shiver a bit, and what I'm guessing is Leanna shifting around from underneath. Why are you buried under all those towels?
It's just very cold out here.
Cold?
Yes,
In the hot springs.
that's right.
You're uncomfortable, I can go. Give it 20 seconds before it gets too hot. I'm not talking to a mountain of towels. I can go if I'm making her uncomfortable. I'll do that. Hey, I can leave if you want. I swear I can feel Leanna's searing blush through all those mountains of towels.
That's not... I mean...
She takes a deep breath, then the layers of towels slowly start to drop off until there's only one left. She comes over and takes a seat on the edge of the spring, letting her legs dangle in the water. Her face is still flushed, and I have a feeling it's not just from the heat. You know, all things considered, I think your wolfskin armor was more revealing than this. Leanna blinks at me and then she laughs. Whew, breaking that cold ice there.
You might be right.
Although, I do have a confession. She looks at me curiously.
What is it?
Even with the stack of towels, I saw something just now that I didn't see when you were wearing that other outfit. Your ankles. Leanna bursts out laughing.
Oh no! How embarrassing! I feel so exposed!
Yeah. She laughs again and the tension from before eases. We continue to chat for a while longer. Kara continues to tease Zach, who stubbornly pretends not to notice. And Amy conjures little tricks in the water to the delight of the Pongo. Well, that didn't end awkwardly, thank goodness. Once it gets close to the end of our reservation time, Zach and I slip back to the men's side so we don't end up in trouble. After our time is up in the hot springs, we change back into our clothes and meet at the Flushed Mermaid's Inn to have a late-night snack. We gather around a mother-of-pearl table, flecked with bits of coral. The chairs here are more comfortable than the wooden ones I've gotten used to. The servers bring us each a scoop of ice cream. Leanna grins and digs in.
Wow, this is delicious.
What kind do you have?
Chocolate.
Kara's expression turns wicked.
Looks good. Mind if I try?
Leanna smiles. Where's this going?
Not at all.
She goes to slide over her bowl, but instead Kara moves in on the spoon of ice cream that Leanna's holding and eats directly from it.
Kara!
Yep, you're right. It's delicious.
Kara giggles and winks. Zack stares at the scene. Kara seems to feel the stare because she turns to face him.
What's wrong? Want me to lick yours, too?
Wow, she's getting aggressive with this. Zack chokes at his ice cream as his face becomes completely red.
Oh, wait, never mind. We both got the same flavor.
She grins devilishly.
I'm glad we have the same tastes.
Zack mumbles something incoherent. After we're done with our snack, we all decide to turn in for the night. We make our way towards the staircase to our bedrooms. On our way upstairs, Zack spots a fancy vase.
Hey, Leanna, what's that?
Leanna looks. Oh no.
What? You mean that?
She suddenly pauses. Pink creeps into her cheeks.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you just said. What is that?
She frowns.
It's Two Faces.
He lets out a low groan. Not this again. Kara and Amelia blink in confusion.
Leanna, is it not clear that the object to which Zack is referring is a vase?
I know what I saw.
Zack smirks triumphantly as Leanna crosses her arms and pounce. Kara looks from Zack to Leanna and then shakes her head.
I'm not even going to ask.
You don't want to know. That's for the best. We hike up the stairs and separate into our rooms. Oh, you're back. I glance down. Huh? You want to stay with us, Pongo? The Pongo perks up. I open the door a little wider and he bounces into the room. The wind howls outside and I automatically step closer to the fireplace. Didn't Amy say something about slipping hot stones into our bed if we're cold? But Zack has already rolled away from me. By his heavy breathing, I can tell he's already asleep. I feel pretty relaxed too. I suppose that's the thing about hot springs. It helps you relax and get a good night's sleep. I crawl into my bed where the sheets are smooth and welcoming. The Pongo snuggles up next to me under the blankets. My eyelids feel heavy and in only a few minutes, I find myself drifting off into a deep sleep. Well, that was an adventurous time in the hot spring, I should say. Sunlight blasts through the windows and wakes me up bright and early. I groan as I sit up in bed, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. I squint at the bed next to me. Zack is nowhere in sight. I guess he's an even earlier riser. After I'm dressed, the Pongo leaps onto my shoulder. Good morning. He lets out a little yawn. It's pretty early, huh? The Pongo nods and snuggles against my neck, closing his eyes. We have a long day of traveling ahead of us. I wonder if everyone else is already downstairs. I open the door and step into the hall. As predicted, I find everyone already waiting for me downstairs.
Ready to go?
Think so? Yeah, I have everything.
Great. Then let's get going.
Sounds good, and we're going to continue our adventure next time. I think that's a great place to end the episode here. As always, feel free to check out PixelFade. If you do enjoy watching Crystalline, check them out. I'll leave the link to their Patreon, their website, along with the Steam page for Crystalline in the description down below. And I will see all you heroes in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.